This is Beyond Trek Podcast, your source for Star Trek on social media and around the web. I'm Big J.
I'm Watney.
And I'm Dag, the Trivia Master. You can find us on Facebook at Beyond Trek Podcast and on Twitter at Beyond Trek Pod.
Red alert.
All right. Well, we've got something a little different for our listeners today. We are in the studio for the podcast Night of the Living podcast. We're doing a crossover episode, going to talk about some of the scary and spooky, weird Star Trek episodes. And for this one in particular, our co-hosts Dag and Watney were not able to make it. That's okay. They're going to get this recording as well. So I'm here today with Amber, one of my coworkers who was with us at the Cincinnati Comic Expo. Part of our production, did some photos. My son Nacho, who all of you have heard before, and our special guest. Well, you guys are hosting us. You're hosting us in your studio. We've got Fred and Amy. Now, do you like Fred or Freddy?
I go by Freddy now. Me and Jefferson, we have this really long history together. We've known each other like 23 years, I think.
Easily 23 years, yeah.
Yeah, maybe even more than that. That's scary. But yeah, I go by Freddy, but when we were at school, everyone called me Fred, so it's confusing.
Right. It is because, I will tell someone, yeah, nice to meet you. My name's Jefferson. Oh, that's great. So, hey, Jeffrey, come on. No, that is absolutely not it.
And my name's Amy, but I prefer A. I'm just kidding. You got Amy. I can't really shorten that one.
Right. Well, you can't even make it longer, really.
No.
She's the mysterious A.
Amy Lee, Amy Ann.
Amy is here. Hi.
So yeah, some friends from high school. So yeah. It's almost like a little mini reunion. Jeez, couldn't get that out that we have here.
I love that podcasting brought us back together because the three of us were in drama together in high school. Is it okay that I disclose this?
Yes. Oh, yeah. We got to tell them a little bit about the drama in high school.
Yeah, that's how I met Amy.
Yeah.
Was through our high school drama program. And we were all drama nerds, but Jefferson was also a jock. So he was floating around and he's putting his life in all the different corners there.
Which was strange because there are not many jocks that also are into the acting or some of those other well-rounded activities. I was kind of an anomaly.
Yeah. A mega nerd, for instance.
Mega nerd. And like Star Trek. Yeah, so that was...
well-rounded. Everyone should have all that in their life.
Very wonderful.
Yeah. And you got good grades.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you believe this?
This doesn't make any sense. I don't understand.
Breaking the mold.
Well, right. No, I'm an alien. It's what it is. Lizard, one of those lizard aliens. But no, yeah, Freddy and I were in, it was A Few Good Men.
Yeah.
Our junior year of high school. And you played the Jack Nicholson's part in that.
As a teenager.
Right, as a teenager. Great performance, by the way.
You were wonderful.
Yeah. It was funny because a lot of the guys were kind of they were in roles that were like kind of age appropriate because they're high school students, and you guys were like young Marines.
Yes.
And then I'm supposed to be this middle-aged guy. And I just now I think about it and I just laugh and laugh. Yeah.
Now that you are middle-aged.
Right. Now that I am middle-aged, I'm like, oh, now I could do it. And probably people would take it seriously.
Well, and that was a lot of pressure because if you remember the opening of that play, I had the first line in that, which was kind of nerve-wracking because you're standing there waiting for that curtain to come up. And as soon as it started to do that, I had an itch, like a few of them, all over. It was horrible. And I said, how did I get myself into this? But yeah. And I was Lance Corporal Dawson in that one. And I hadn't seen the movie at that point. And I remember our drama club sponsor, Miss Stevens, asked me, have you seen it? No. And then recommended that I do not.
Right,
so that it was a pure performance based on how I saw it.
It's a great play, Aaron Sorkin, if I remember right.
I think so.
Yeah.
So and we went to state. For that one. So
that was fun.
Well, we could sit here all day talking about high school, and I feel like I'm the good old days.
That was a tough drama coach too.
Oh, yes.
She wasn't just doing that to pad her resume. She was serious. Yes. So I feel like I owe her a lot I learned a lot from her.
Absolutely. I did too.
If you're listening, Carol Stevens.
I hope so. Yeah, Carol Stevens, if you're listening, thank you for helping us get our acting chops.
Making us cry.
That's okay. Just get it out. Right? So in this review, we're going to talk about one episode per series from Star Trek. We kind of went through and picked out first the episodes that Freddy and Amy would be most familiar with, most comfortable with, because, you probably don't live in the lore every day like I do. It's horrible. I can recall most episode names, numbers, or the season, different lines. And so, yeah, see, Nacho knows. You're getting the same. I see you looking at me like that, the corner of my eye. You know it. You're getting just as bad. I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah. Amy's a convert. Recent.
Yes.
Like in the last year and a half. Yeah.
Wow.
And I am so in. It's ridiculous. I love it.
Once you're in, you're in.
Yeah.
But I'm not through. I've seen what I've seen, but I haven't seen Enterprise or Discovery yet because I'm trying to watch in airing order. So I'm still in like Deep Space Voyager land. Right.
And that's fine. That's great. When you get to Enterprise, just gotta.
I know I gotta power through.
You just gotta power through.
That's what I've
Really?
heard.
I see. I have never seen an episode of Enterprise either.
Well, with Enterprise, I can tell you it does get better.
That's all you can hope for.
Yes.
It just sounds so supportive. You have to put videos out to encourage young Enterprise viewers.
Yes, we do. It's like a support group.
Yeah.
So we picked an episode from each series, just kind of went through and tried to pick out kind of one of the ones that are the best ones to talk about that is related to Halloween, because Night of the Living podcast, you guys do the horror movies, the horror genre, the horror shows, and have been dying to do something with you guys, but thinking, well, it ought to be relevant so that it kind of ties in.
Yeah, and it's spooky season. It's October.
We call it Spocktober.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
I love that.
Spocktober. You like that? Yeah, this is spooky Trek. So the original series is the one we'll do first, and that is the episode Wolf in the Fold. And this is a Scotty episode. He is on medical leave on a planet with Kirk and McCoy, and there's this. He ends up being accused of murder, and goes through this. Has to go through his whole trial. It's like this castle type of setting. He of course believes he was possessed. He didn't. He didn't do it. And they found Scotty with a knife, and
he looked pretty bad.
Yeah. It
a few times over.
It looked pretty
multiple
incriminating.
Bodies. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And here's something interesting about this episode is I went through and I did a rewatch of the original series not too long back, and every episode except this one. Every episode was Kirk, Spock, McCoy, some combination of those three. It's not like TNG or DS9 or any of that where there's a Worf episode, there's a Dax episode, there's a Troy episode. It was Kirk, Spock, McCoy, all the way through. This was the only episode that was it was a Scotty episode. There was no Sulu episode, no Uhura, no nothing. So
Never thought of that.
Yeah. So basically, you've got the 72 hours, these 72 episodes, and out of that, 71 is tightly focused on those three, and that really brought out and made. I don't know if you've seen any of the newer Trek movies, but it made it a lot more obvious how they shoehorned in the interactions and friendship with him. They cashed off of what we remembered from the original. Okay, so it was all Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, but they took that, years, decades of us watching that and jammed it in. Just like, here you go, they're best friends now. That doesn't work. So
also, tonally, this one feels so. When you brought the topic up, I was like, this one stood out to me because tonally, it's so different than the rest of the series. One, because it's so dark, and two, it's Robert Bloch, the author of Psycho, wrote it. And you have him also dealing with similar themes in this, which are a man who possibly is traumatized and now hates women. And that's the big reason they're taking Scotty to this planet, because a woman caused an accident on the Enterprise, and now they think he'll hate all women because of it.
Wow.
And I think just the timing of when it was released and everything, it's got a lot of deep things going on under the surface in this episode.
A lot of politics.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right. Yeah, there are. So, he's got his fingerprints all over the murder weapon. These killings are happening and he doesn't remember them. And the atmosphere of the whole episode was just very kind of, well, you're right. I mean, it was almost like a horror-based, sci-fi thriller. And
yeah, definitely.
So what ended up happening, and there's probably going to be some spoilers for anyone who has not seen any of the episode we talked about, but there was a mention in the computer file during his trial of a Jack the Ripper.
Right.
So
I loved that twist.
Yes. The twist was that the Jack the Ripper that we knew and was basically an alien, this entity, because there were other accounts very similar to that through the years that happened on different planets.
Yeah, there were some words, right? They almost sounded like that Klaktad Verata Nikto or whatever from The Day the Earth Stood Still. they were like, this is no language we know. What does the computer think? And it comes back with this explanation that eventually leads them down that rabbit hole of Jack the Ripper was an alien.
Right. Exactly. And so that alien feeds off of murdering and
hating women.
Yeah. Right. The alien hates women too for some reason. I don't understand this stuff.
I know, that's horrible.
How'd you like that? You had Piglet as the villain in this episode, which I really dug. I love that
guy's voice.
He's so unassuming. His voice is so kind and warm. And you're kind of like, he's just kind of this little milquetoast guy, yet again, spoiler, but I assume you're a Star Trek fan if you're listening and you've probably seen this episode. But
I think we can make that assumption,
50
right?
years
yeah. And I just feel like if you hear our dogs in the background, and that's what you're hearing.
They also agree.
They want to talk too.
Yeah, they have a lot of opinions about Star Trek, especially that episode with the little Cocker Spaniels with the unicorn horns.
Yeah.
They love that one.
From the original series.
Yeah.
I liked him as a kind of an unassuming. Yeah. I don't know if villain is. Okay, let's just call him villain. Sure.
He's possessed.
Possessed. No, that's a good point. Maybe it's not his fault, but when you get to those, that's the most horrific thing I think in the episode is, and I think Sam Raimi, I've always said, I think Sam Raimi borrowed from this episode of Star Trek to get the sound of the demons in The Evil Dead. Mm-hmm. When there's those multiple voices that are changing pitches that are coming out of him when they confront him during the lie detector test scene. That's just like straight horror movie stuff.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was fantastic. I love this episode.
Yeah.
We ready to move on to the next one, or Nacho? Any opinion on that one? Yeah, probably too weird. Now I know he's saving up.
It's the right amount of weird.
Right amount. Yeah, he's saving up for TNG. He's my TNG pro.
Well, the problem is I never watched that episode. Like on the way here,
I told you had homework.
Oh my god!
He's
I think you're going to be kicked out of the house.
Had you seen The Evil Dead at all?
Evil Dead. Can you give me contacts of that one? Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's a bunch of quote unquote teenagers, but they're like 30-year-old actors. Go into the woods. They find an evil book that causes them to become possessed one by one by this murderous spirit.
That sounds very familiar.
And it's
very classic.
Wolf in the Fold is kind of that.
Yeah.
Which I've never heard Sam Raimi give them credit, but I feel like maybe he was influenced by this.
Got some inspiration from it.
Yeah.
Now, if you like magic, and it is not often that magic was used in Star Trek, but we're going to go on to the animated series, The Magics of Megas 2. So this one, if you remember, is the classic devil, the guy with the horns, got the
red.
Yeah. So the Enterprise on this scientific mission to find the creation point. It's an area in the galactic core where matter was being created. So they're caught in this energy whirlwind, this red skin humanoid with horns, as described here, Memory Alpha.
And sweet abs.
Yeah, look at those. I mean, abs forever, just totally ripped and toned.
He's in the gym every day.
Dogs are losing their minds. You keep going. I'll be back. I'm going to go check on them.
Someone's breaking into the house. That's your early warning detection. Basically in this realm, it's where physical laws of their universe don't apply, and magic is what thrives there. So they're sent back to what looks to be Salem.
Yeah.
Like Salem, Massachusetts.
During the witch trials.
Right.
Which is I just loved this.
Oh, you like this when you saw this?
I have never seen an episode of the animated series, but so we watched it today.
Oh, okay.
And I loved this concept of going back to Salem, which I think, just being a spooky person, I enjoy the spookiness of it. So
yes.
I was in. I was like, of course. The devil in Salem.
Update on the dogs. They're good. I think it's the mailman, but I did I did a Tom Cruise slide back into the hallway on accident, and I'm pretty sure I clobbered myself.
You okay?
Yeah. I'll live, but yeah.
Well, that's better than that dog bed almost taking me out.
Right.
I did not. Yeah.
So we're talking about Satan's sweet abs in Salem, Massachusetts.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
So what did you think of his abs?
His abs, his chest, pretty much everything was totally cut and buffed. I can understand why they wanted to hang out with him. They wanted to get some workout tips, probably.
I love how quickly Spock was able to go, yeah, magic, it's logical here.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. And again, he's like, it's not really magic. It's just their logic. So to me, I can work with this because I'm the ultimate logic guy.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, this was one of those humans on trial kind of episodes. Yeah. And so they're on trial, and Spock volunteered to speak in defense of the humans since he was not from Earth, which, technicality, as we know, 'cause he's half human, but he was born and raised on Vulcan. And what I really like in this, the magic battle between Kirk and the Puritan. So that was, he had the stuff coming out of his hands, and it just, this magic and all of it was very strange.
Yeah, it was very trippy. It's very 60s,
or early 70s, right?
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, just the look of it is kind of a psychedelic look to the whole series, really, but especially this episode, especially when they have the green, misty purple and green goblin faces floating around Kirk's head and everything. That was really cool. For me, this is one of the better episodes of the animated series because some of them are just almost unwatchable to me.
It was. That's another one you got to power through.
Yeah.
I will. So, I'm not sure if we put that one on the list or not, but maybe.
Yeah.
When I get to the end and I'm out and I'm jonesing and shaking and sweating, I'll go back to the animated series.
When I did my rewatch of all of it, that's where I ended, was the animated series. Yeah. Now, when we were in school, I had followed all of TNG when that was on, recorded every episode on VHS, saw it all. Saw some original series reruns, but then and then DS9 started. Now, once I got into college, I really sort of kind of fell off of. There's a lot more to do in college than watching Star Trek.
Yeah,
so
just a
little bit,
just wholesome stuff, though.
Right? So DS9, Voyager, and Enterprise saw most of, but I went through and just clean sweep. I want to watch everything. Now, I didn't do TNG because that was so fresh. So I did DS9. Voyager, Enterprise, then TOS, and then the anime series. And that was, you got to power through it. Amy, if you're going to, you'll feel better for it when you're done.
I feel like I owe it for them giving me such a rich and beautiful world.
It is.
But I am okay. I guess
it helps you to respect where it's been.
It can't all be perfect.
What I do like about the animated series on the flip side is it was a place they could safely work out screenplays that didn't pass muster for the original series, and some of them are the more what would have probably been incredibly controversial episodes, just like the one we're talking about, where the message is, "Hey, Satan's okay."
Right.
He's just misunderstood.
Right. Yeah. He's not that bad.
And you're talking about America of the 70s, the 60s and 70s here, where imagine the reaction had that been on in prime time, and just given to the general audience. They probably would have come after Gene Roddenberry with pitchforks.
They already got away with an interracial kiss. So
that was a big deal.
So I don't think they were going to be able to do any more challenging there. But
Yeah.
so moving on to the next one, we have TNG episode. This is, I just now thought I should probably give the episode numbers for anyone wanting to jump right into the Halloween ones. So let me jump back real quick for you guys. Thinking you might.
Wolf in the Fold was season 2.
Yeah, was.
But I can't remember the episode number.
I've got it right here.
Yeah,
I've got it right here. I had closed out the tab. I just got to. Okay, Wolf in the Fold, the original series, season 2, episode 14, and The Magics of Megas 2 was the animated series, season 1, episode 8. Okay.
I know we already talked about Wolf in the Fold, but I just want to bring up real quick. What is it you think the women did that got Kirk and Boone so worked up?
Cafe were the women, and they never finished it.
Yeah, he's just like, no, I know. Let's go. Uber's on me. Let's go.
I'm thinking I don't want to know.
Whatever happens on Shore Leave stays on Shore Leave. That's what,
I'm thinking of something pretty extreme.
Therapeutic, surely.
I think so, yes.
Wink, wink, nudge,
Yeah.
nudge.
I'm sure involved a lot of Romulan ale.
Yeah, I feel like they created the holodeck to stop abuses of other people.
They're not real people. They're holograms. So,
What's going on in Ryza, though?
Well, Risley.
That's a whole different thing right there. Too much
got-
John Hamaron. That's what it is.
They got Riker's face on a poster in an administrative office there.
If you see this man,
Get tested.
I love Riker, though. I didn't mean that, but you know how it is.
all right. So Night Terrors, TNG. So episode, let's see, season 4, episode 17. The USS Enterprise D is given orders to find a lost Starfleet vessel, the USS Branan. They come upon the ship adrift in an unexplored binary star system. Beaming on board, an away team finds the entire crew murdered except for a betazoid, Andrus Hagen, the Britain's scientific advisor, who is catatonic. So this was the one. Troy's floating. She's having that dream, that weird image, eyes in the dark in one moon circles. And, where are you?
Where are you? Over
This
and over
is
again.
the one they won the Emmy for Outstanding Achievement in Special Effects for
No.
Right.
her floating against the green screen.
They did great for what they had.
That's true.
Right,
They did. For
right.
at the time, it was pretty amazing. Actually, you're kind of like, oh my god.
It was.
Yeah.
Nacho, take it away.
Honestly, I kind of laughed when I was looking at that.
I think you were supposed to.
I know, but it was hard to take it serious. It felt like a Disney movie.
Yeah,
like a
it was
Disney
pretty
movie.
silly.
Well, if you recall, so the crew of this other ship, they killed themselves. I mean,
Yeah.
they went totally ballistic, and there were signs of, there was paranoia. They got a captain's log, and basically anyone who was there was a lot of suspicion of mutiny. So all 34 of the crew killed each other with no alien presence. And what ended up happening was, in this space, in this region they were in, they could not get into REM sleep, and not being able to do that, to get in that REM sleep, has very damaging effects on you. So
Yeah, gives you these really dark circles under your eyes, makes you real grumpy.
They all looked very tired.
Yeah.
I felt that in my soul, because that's how I feel most days. But yeah, they couldn't dream.
I do like how in some of the shots it's just the actor, no matter who it is, just kind of like staring mouth agape, into space. And I mean, they sold it like, you're like, you guys, you need a nap. That was like the alternate title of this episode.
But it wasn't just that they needed to sleep; they needed to dream,
Right.
and that was being suppressed.
that was it.
Yeah. And was it that Troy was the only one who was dreaming, correct?
Well,
She wasn't really dreaming, though.
not
But,
really.
yeah.
In a sense, it was that she was, because of her empathic abilities, her betazoid abilities. These hey doggy,
Goodness, we're busy. We're working here.
Yeah, they insist on being
me
part
too.
of everything.
They were able to communicate with her, but it was very short message that they were able to say. So that's why they kept repeating that. But the classic part of this episode, I think anyone who's seen it remembers, is in the morgue.
Yeah.
Dr. Crusher
so
just then the creepy music, and you keep hearing the sound of just the plastic sort of rustling, and she's the only one in there just looking around. And of course they're doing the spooky TNG background music, and she thinks she's seeing something and turns behind her and looks, and there's a body sitting up, and then the whole room sits up. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
That was
enough to forgive the silly floating green screen.
Yeah. It's a moment that is kind of reminiscent of, there was a moment in The Fog, the John Carpenter movie, kind of has a similar moment in it. Freddy versus Jason does.
Yeah, we just
Something else
rewatched
you
that.
wanna laugh
And that's
at?
a terrible movie.
But yeah, it's very effective. I think you can, that's one thing, you can crib that from any horror film over and over again, and it's still creepy.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Well, and but eventually they get out of this predicament. Data had to take over. Basically, the crew's just becoming incapacitated, and Troy realizes that one of her messages that she got, 1 moon circles, refers to the hydrogen atom. And if the Enterprise releases hydrogen towards the other ship, because they found that there was a ship stuck in the Tychon's Rift, the same rift that they were in. They couldn't see it because they were in a different plane, like the either it was 2D or 4D plane. No, 2D was the episode of The Orville.
Also a great show.
We love that too.
Right. Yeah. And so that's that. They were able to get out of that. They did the explosion, produced this explosion, and they were able to free themselves. So
kind of Batman-esque leaps of logic.
Yes.
Always in Star Trek, but especially in these Halloween-y kind of episodes, they kind of have to. I almost feel like when they bring in someone who is typically a horror writer to write on a sci-fi series, that sometimes the science gets a little short shrift.
Right.
Because they're like, no, this is okay. It's kind of our Halloween episode. You can be kind of silly with how you get them out of this one. It's going to be a Deus Ex Machina situation.
Well, in the this episode, we got to see a good bar fight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Remember that? The bar
Brian
fight in 10 Forward.
The angry man.
Yeah.
And Guinan, where does she get that gun?
Guinan, she has every part.
What did I say? Guinan, sorry.
That's okay.
But she pulled out that giant gold gun.
Oh.
Well, what bartender doesn't have a gun under the bar?
Yeah, it was her peacemaker.
Every time I see like someone at a bar, I always think they're loony, because in a Looney Tune episode, you would just randomly get something out of nowhere.
I just like that it shot like fireworks out of it, and she's like, "That's setting 1," and I'm like, "Was bubbles on setting 2? Like, what other harmless thing is going to come out of this big gun?"
Well, she scared him. Okay.
Right. Got him to stop fighting. Yeah. So but
She's one of my favorite characters in all of Star Trek, and I'm sure because she's had so much success is probably why you don't see her come back in other series or anything. But
I wonder if she'll show up in Picard.
I hope so.
Oh yeah.
If she's well enough, I know she went through some stuff.
She's still on The View.
Yeah, true.
I
So there
hope
you
so
go.
too. So yeah, we can keep our fingers crossed.
I hope she has that gun still. On Picard.
And the hats. Yeah.
Slung
The
across
hats
her
are
back.
great.
So moving on to Star Trek Deep Space Nine. This episode is called Empok Nor. This is season 5, episode 24. Just skim through some of the teaser for our listeners. Kira, Dax, and War. You like that one too? The dog loves that.
Elsa
Another good.
loves Deep Space Nine.
Really?
Yeah,
Big
they're
fan of Cisco.
Yeah,
Oh.
they love Cisco.
Wow. So Kira, Dax, and Worf enter Quarks to find it strangely empty, and the reason soon becomes apparent. No one is able to hear themselves think over the horrible noise resulting from Chief O'Brien and Nog doing some conduit repairs.
I haven't seen this one, but that description.
So
This is horrible noise, Nog, and
right.
and O'Brien are up to something horrible.
So they need this plasma. What is so funny?
I just thought something very funny.
He's imagining what Nog and O'Brien could be up to in the conduits. He's in his Jeffries tube.
Yeah. Oh, come on. This is a family show.
Keep going.
I'm not responsible for anything. So
The giggle fits.
They need a plasma distribution manifold, and the manifolds are of Cardassian manufacturer. Stop it! So they're Cardassian, so they can't just replicate one. They need one that's they find an abandoned station called Empok Nor. This was the sister station to Terok Nor, which is what they renamed Deep Space Nine. So, and Empok Nor, is this kind of evil, spooky, abandoned station because it's tilted in space when we see it for no reason. When things are not, are odd or supposed to be out of the ordinary, then the way you show it in space is have it tilted.
That's
at an
it's
angle.
cheap.
Is that in the showrunner's Bible for all Star Trek series?
Yes. If there's an evil Enterprise, tilt it. we need a station that's just like Deep Space Nine.
Bad lighting.
It's crooked.
Tilted.
Yeah, it has to have exposed
Fog
wiring hanging out with sparks coming off of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's just remember tilted. So they brought Garrick along on this because of course they need the expertise of a tailor. I guess if someone was going to rip their pants or something, he would be on hand. And plain simple Garrick, not just Garrick. So
I love that character, by the way.
Oh, he's great. He's great.
Yeah.
We could do a whole episode on
sassy.
Garrick.
Yeah,
he is. So they find some Cardassians that were left there in some stasis tubes, and there was this. They were partially filled with an unknown blue biogenic substance. Now we're getting into a biogenic substance, and that's when you know that it's kind of scary. So,
or it's Windex. It's one of those. Scary Windex.
Well, people start coming after them. So they're in this poorly lit, abandoned station. Trying to get this part. Garrick kind of goes off the rails. Nog is he's sneaking around on guard. Doesn't see Cardassians. They're looking for them because some of them got out of their tubes, and they're being hunted by some Cardassian agents that were left behind. And Garrick essentially goes out and dispatches them.
He's a tough dude. He's secretly very, very tough. Less secretly the further you get into the series. But it's always one of those things where he's like Steven Seagal in what was that movie, Under Siege or something, where he's the cook, but he can kill everybody on the ship. Garrick is like the Steven Seagal of the Star Trek universe.
But possibly a war criminal too. Also,
maybe a war criminal.
Right. Well, and so Garrick ended up going insane. Says here there's some finer details I don't quite remember, but so they're being stalked. It's kind of like a Predator sort of episode.
Yeah,
these Cardassians going after this away team, and the whole atmosphere of that. It's kind of has you on the edge of your seat the whole time. That's why it's one of our Halloween episodes, because you've got a tilted station in space.
Yeah. I love cat and mouse stories. Excuse me.
It was very much cat and mouse story.
And I do feel like cat and mouse can go across so many genres. Like you can have an action adventure cat and mouse scenario. You can have a comedy cat and mouse thing. But when you do it with horror, you just basically have to have somebody at a really big disadvantage, and it feels like they could die at any time. And that, I think, makes it kind of like more of a horror scenario. Like, so your underdog, I take it, haven't seen it, but I'm going to guess they were probably unarmed in the first act, wandering around, or their phasers probably broke. Something happened, probably. Again, this episode, I don't know. But I'm just saying, I love that. That's a classic setup for a good reason.
So I didn't watch it because I'm only in season 4 of DS9 and I didn't want to get too far ahead of myself. But the idea, I love more screen time for Nog. I need more because I love him. I want to protect him, and rest in peace, obviously, to the actor who played him, who just passed, which is so sad. It makes me sad. But the idea of Nog and Garrick together and kind of
that's a crazy pairing.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, for at this point and where we're at Deep Space Nine, that relationship doesn't exist.
No.
So
Nog
I'm
is
kind of
off
curious
at
to see what
Starfleet
happens
right now, so he's gonna come back to station. You've just blown my mind. I know I have a lot still to get through, and your listeners are screaming at me like, "Oh, lady, sorry."
How dare you bring someone on who's only seen 200 episodes of Star Trek?
I know. Yeah.
I'm the worst.
I need to up the standards.
Yes.
You know, it's only seen 200. You're way behind. So, any other thoughts, observations, or comments on the DS9 episode? We move on to Voyager.
I like Nacho's still giggling.
He's still giggling.
I love it.
Sorry, just that one thing I was laughing about earlier.
Let's hear it.
Now I can't stop.
No, it's very weird. Keep going. Just keep going.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me right now. Is that off air?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Can you give me a hint? Is it about Star Trek?
Yeah.
All right.
It's a secret, though.
Yeah.
Secret Star Trek.
I
Don't
thought
forget. Then he's going to say he forgot. That's what's going to happen. Okay.
I was going to say there's a booger hanging out of Freddy's nose this whole time.
Let me see. No, you're good.
Okay, I'm good.
So now let's move on to Voyager. We have The Thaw, and that is season 2, episode 23. And this one stars Michael McKean.
Oh, really?
Yes. Who was in Better Call Saul, Clue.
Yeah.
And also This is Spinal Tap.
He was one half of Lenny and Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley.
Oh, yes.
A really bad 2-parter on the X-Files, which is my nerd thing that I can go on and on and on and on and on about.
I think I remember that episode.
He was a cop or something, wasn't he?
No, he was a man in black from Grim
way
Lake.
off.
Yeah. Area 51.
Same thing. Then.
Bad episode. He switched bodies with Mulder. It's bad.
That's right.
But
yes.
I love Michael McKean. Yes.
Yeah, he's great.
I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife. That was the end of Clue. Does everybody remember? All right.
So, what do we have in this one? So, this was the whole just clowns and the circus sort of thing. It was it's just weird.
Yeah.
It was just a downright kind of strange episode. And so their minds, like it's one of those, if you die in your dream, you're going to die in real life. And so, Ensign Kim.
Elm Street.
Right. So Kim is in one of the stasis units with B'Elanna Torres because they went down to this planet and they found these people in these stasis pods, and they activate them, go into there. There's this like trauma, this mental stress caused by fear. These colonists died from massive heart attacks, it says here.
So like they were scared to death by something?
Right. So,
like you said, it says here, like you have their medical reports in front of you instead of an episode synopsis. You're like, this is classic. If I've seen it once, I've seen it 100 times. These colonists died from fear, which I think has happened. I feel like they did something similar maybe in the original series where Kirk's brother.
Yeah.
Remember they went to like the planet and there was like Kirk, maybe it was Next Gen, but there was kind of a similar thing where people were dying from fear.
Maybe.
It was, yeah. I remember the one you're talking about. Wasn't that the one with the jellyfish?
Yes.
The space jellyfish thing that got on Spock's.
It screwed him up.
Back. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the original series.
Yep, it was definitely.
Interesting. They go back to the well sometimes. I think there's certain things.
Pretty classic trope.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Right.
dying from fear and being scared to death.
So that's what's happening here is these people attached to these machines. They're in like a kind of a matrix, the Matrix sort of thing, and this clown played by Michael McKean is terrorizing these people.
Man, we get 2 more centuries and they're still afraid of clowns.
Yeah. Still.
I'm not afraid of clowns now. I'm more advanced than these people.
Oh my
on
goodness,
Voyager
aren't you
are.
the best.
So if you, for anyone out there, if you do not like clowns, you might want to skip this one.
Yeah, or if you love them.
Or
If you love them too much, this might tarnish what you love because you're like, I've never seen an evil clown. And if somehow you've never seen an evil clown,
Then
welcome
you
to
need
Earth.
Yeah.
Because they're almost exclusively evil now.
when Janeway comes in and saves the day.
Because she is BA.
Yes.
She is the HBIC.
Yeah.
I love, so I just started Voyager just a couple months ago, and I'm probably 10 or so episodes from the one we're talking about now, so I haven't watched it yet, but I feel like I was kind of told about Voyager the same thing you guys are telling me about Enterprise. Like, it's okay.
Right.
I love it.
I like that she sounds like Eartha
Janeway.
Kitt.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so yeah.
Yes.
I love
speaks like
Torres. I
Eartha
love
Kitt.
all of them.
Yeah. It's a fun show.
Yeah.
It is.
Underrated.
Makes me happy.
Now, we're going to go to Enterprise.
Thank you, Jesus.
Is this your jam, your favorite?
No, we're just getting close to where I actually know something.
That's good. We meet in the middle.
All right.
The further we get along, the less I know and the more Nacho knows.
Well, he's younger, so he's got the newer kind of latter half of Star Trek, and but you liked Enterprise as a whole.
Oh yeah,
and that's not. I mean, yeah, it's good. So.
He does not believe what he
You're not
just
going to disown him over this, are you?
No. I think I'll keep him. He's all right. He's all right otherwise. So this is Enterprise. The episode is called Impulse, Season 3, Episode 5. And okay, you're so smart. Why don't you tell us about this one? What was the spooky and scary you liked about Impulse?
If you want me to be honest, I didn't think it was that spooky to me.
Really?
It wasn't spooky to me. Earlier on the way here, I told you that one episode you said it was a suggestion where, that big white globby thing gets on the ship.
The big white globby thing.
That was in the cargo bay
That
and
makes sense.
Enterprise.
If you've ever seen a Star Trek.
I'm excited to watch Enterprise.
Yeah.
Impulse kind of has like a zombie vibe, and zombies don't really creep me out.
What is wrong with the children today?
It was.
They're saturated in zombies.
Oh, you're
They've been
right.
soaking in them their whole lives.
That's true.
Yes. Well, it's zombies. Yeah, Vulcan zombies.
Ooh.
So
What's that like?
What says Halloween and weird, creepy, scary than zombies?
I love Vulcan zombies.
That's Vulcan crazy.
That's great. That's great. I like that.
I always loved how they used that as a way of getting around swearing on the original series.
You're out of your Vulcan mind.
Right.
Spock.
Yeah, your Vulcan mind. Well, and so this was, if you recall, in this season, the backdrop of the entire season is trying to find the Xindi and stop their super weapon before it gets to Earth and destroys Earth. And they're in this region of space called the Expanse, which they had never explored before. But there was a Vulcan ship that a while back had gone in there, a ship called the Saleya, and went missing. So this was this one. If any of you remember Event Horizon,
Oh, God, I love that movie.
Great movie.
Love it.
Yeah.
this to me kind of gave a little bit of that feeling. They're in this. They end up in this place. Crew goes crazy, ends up just about killing themselves.
Scott Bakula carves his eyes out. Rusty spoon.
Oh yeah. Now I'm gonna have to go back and watch Event Horizon again.
That's a good one.
So yeah, zombie Vulcans.
I love that.
That's a cool concept. Wasn't there a novel or something, a Star Trek horror novel that came out years ago that had like undead Vulcans in it too? I just remember seeing the cover of a rotting Vulcan character on the cover.
You may be right.
Yeah. I just wish I could remember.
Or you may
may
be crazy.
I can look it up while we're talking about the next
You
thing.
must.
Because I'll go crazy otherwise.
What do zombie Vulcans eat? Because Vulcans are vegetarians. They don't eat meat, so.
Oh.
I don't think they were literally zombies.
Well, no, they weren't literally zombies. They were infected.
Would they?
Would
they still be able to mind meld? Would they be able to eat your thoughts and memories?
Oh, there we go. We're asking the important questions.
Very. Now I'm going to think about this all day.
Well, and then this is what started T'Pol's Trillium D addiction, because it was used to inoculate her from this, the biohazard that took over and affected the rest of the crew.
Ooh, so I got a drug addiction storyline to look forward to.
And drug addiction.
I like that. I like when Star Trek tackles those things and they fix them immediately.
It is, yes. Right. We just single-handedly solved starvation, hunger, racism.
Yeah, our
all kinds of...
society doesn't do any of those bad things anymore. And I'm like, yay, but like how?
Does it crack you up too, though, that like
What issue do we need to solve this week?
Yeah.
they solve Earth racism, but they find new ways to be racist against other species in outer space? they're just like, you know what I miss from like 300 years ago? I think we're going to be mean to the Klingons now, and then when they're okay, they're going to be mean to the Ferengis.
Well, the Ferengis don't do themselves any favors.
See, Amy, then now you just sound like one of them.
I like Ferengi.
I can't find the damn book I was talking about.
Because you made it up.
Yeah, I may have, but I'm sure somebody listening probably knows.
There's only like thousands of books.
I
Yeah,
know,
there are a
so
lot of them.
I was looking into like, where do I start on the books? And then I gave up because I was overwhelmed.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Nacho, Amy, Freddy, Amber, any other thoughts on this one before we move on to our last?
To be honest, didn't like in a few episodes in season 3, didn't she literally grab a suit and go into the cargo bay when it was completely exposed to space?
Mm-hmm. Yes, to get to the Trillium.
Wow.
The Trillium D.
Some good
Added
stuff.
in the 22nd century.
Yeah. Right. Dealt with drug addiction as well. So, a lot of lessons even for weird Halloween type episode.
Yeah, if there's like pizza flavored combos with cracker shell.
Oh, the cracker shell.
We'd probably both
That's
break
my
in
jam.
there to get in there.
Yeah,
Put
deep
on a
stuff.
spacesuit for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those are good.
I like it.
So now we've got Discovery. Context is for Kings. That is season 1, episode
Nacho
3.
didn't care for it.
Another disagree?
Again, I don't get how that's scary at all. Yeah, like I think it's a mystery episode, but I don't think it's scary at all.
I can't say because I've never seen Discovery because we're doing this whole chronological viewing thing. It'll probably be a year before we catch up.
I'm getting there.
There's so many episodes, but
I love the ones when they do mysteries, though.
I do love the mysteries.
It wasn't a spooky mystery?
No, it wasn't spooky at all to me.
Although, is there a murder in it?
What scares me?
Yeah.
Jump scares.
Jump scares.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. I love those
Absolutely.
too.
Anything else I'm fine with, but like
Atmospheric horror doesn't do much for you?
No.
Okay.
No, but
All
yeah,
right.
I didn't see anything that was like horror really. Like the only thing that gave me mystery really was badges I'd never seen, stuff that was floating, or just everyone was kind of suspicious or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't see any horror in that episode at all.
Well, they're new still. There's probably not a lot to choose from, right? I mean, Discovery's only on its third, second?
It's about to start the 3rd season. Yeah, we'll be starting the 3rd one.
Yeah.
So they turned a lot of things around in that one in the 2nd season.
I'm real curious about this one because I've managed to learn very little about Discovery and kind of on purpose. And all I've seen of it, we were at WonderCon in San Diego and they showed like some special effects mock-ups.
Los Angeles.
Oh, Los Angeles. God. Someplace in California. And I was really blown away at how it looks. It looks so good. And I'm just kind of wondering, like, does it still have that like Star Trek feel to it?
Discovery?
Yeah.
It does. It really. Now a lot of people out there will tell you this is not my Star Trek.
Yeah.
And
It doesn't have to be, and you can live your life without it.
right. Yeah. I mean, it's different. It's different than, well, from what we grew up with.
Yeah.
And now there's more budget, there's better effects, there's all kinds of things. And honestly, this day and age right now, the TOS, TNG, Voyager flavor, it wouldn't work. That's not going to last.
It's not sophisticated enough for this audience, this age.
Yes.
Yeah.
In this age, it's what they're doing is exactly right. I think is I'll take a year and a half in between seasons if I can watch every week for 12 or 13 episodes and just go on through, because it's a binge watch sort of thing.
Serialized storytelling.
Yes, I like the serialized storytelling, and I mean, you don't know what it was like back in our day, having to wait a week.
And then the summers.
Appointment
The
viewing.
long summers. Yeah.
And if you missed it, you missed it. And you had to wait till it reran. And who knows when that was going to be.
Mom, you forgot to set the VCR.
Now, well, but see that this one, Nacho, was the one with the Glen, the sister ship of the Discovery, where they found that tardigrade. They went on the Glen, and there were bodies of Klingons there, and bodies of the Starfleet officers that were on the ship, because what was happening was they were experimenting with that the spore drive, and
The tardigrade.
yeah, the tardigrade. Well, they did one of the spins or whatever, and what was it?
What is a tardigrade? Am I saying that right?
It's
Tardigrade.
basically this. Well, okay, the spore drive on the Discovery wasn't working right because the map wasn't complete, and the tardigrade basically has a map in its head, and the Glen was more upgraded for the jumps, and they were jumping. And I guess the tardigrade got out of its cage when they were using it.
So this is a prequel,
living
right?
thing.
Discovery takes place before
10 years before TOS.
Before TOS. Okay.
Well, yeah. So in their tests of the drive, they end up getting themselves like turned inside out.
You.
So
Just like in The Fly, and
right.
and that happened in like Star Trek 2, the movie too, didn't it? With the teleporter, was that the first one where he's like, "That's why I don't use them."
Oh,
when Bones was like, "I don't want it to get all turned inside out."
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there was a transporter accident in the motion picture.
Yeah.
So the tardigrade basically is this larger version of a real tardigrade. They're like the little they call them water bears.
Oh yeah.
Little
I've
tiny
seen those.
microscopic things, and they
They
can like
sound
survive.
cute, but they're not. Yeah, they have big, horrible mouths on them.
Yeah, and like they can survive in the vacuum of space, things like that. Well, they have this giant one, which is virtually indestructible. The Klingons end up getting on the Glen, and this thing they see like these big claw marks in the corridors, and the Klingons are all torn apart. So there's this monster loose on the ship.
So Nacho doesn't think that's horror. What is your
that's not
life
horror.
like, Nacho? He's like, I run into giant water bears all the time at school.
I mean, and again, it's all dark, and they've got their phasers and all that, and there's this big thing. I mean,
Sounds like Alien.
yeah, that's not
like it.
scary.
Have you seen Alien?
Yes, I've seen all of the
I know
Alien movies.
Did you think Alien is a horror movie?
Yeah, okay, I watched all of them first try and the second try. They were like a little scary.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think any. Well, jump scares get you, and there's not a lot of those in Star Trek that I can recall. There's one I know I remember in Enterprise.
The only thing scary in Star Trek, he makes fun of me for years still, was when he took me to the 2008 film of Star Trek.
What happened?
Yes. Okay. I'm dying.
He's allowed to make fun of you.
Oh yes. It's my turn.
Oh,
It's my turn.
you're still on
You shouldn't
that.
say anything because I was not really thinking about that. So here's what happened. So we go to see Star Trek 2009, and you weren't even 5 yet. You were going on 5. So took Nacho to the movies. We went to see Star Trek 2009, and I thought he might be a little young to take to a movie like that, but he would already been getting into Star Trek, and he sat there through the whole thing, just watching, eating his popcorn. 'Cause didn't we go with Liz and Corey? And no, that was that the second time.
Yeah,
with your cousins. Okay. So the scene where Kirk ends up marooned on that big ice planet, he climbs out, and he's got his winter coat that they were nice enough to leave.
Yeah.
And they
I never thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah. But why didn't they put him in it? Put the coat on him.
That's a pretty big hole there that you just pointed out to me.
They're about to maroon him on a nice planet and figure, I guess he'll figure it out and survive. But here, let's give him a nice Columbia jacket before we do that. So anyway, he's doing his, giving his log, bitching about how he got tossed off the ship, and you can hear this like noise in the background. So he's looking through the snowstorm, and you can kind of see something kind of running towards him. Cuts to Kirk again. He's really looking. Cuts back to the monster, and then suddenly the camera just jumps right to the so he jumped.
Oh, I've jumped at stuff like that too, though.
Did you dump your popcorn?
Almost. It kind of got me too, because I was like, oh Jesus, Yeah, but they got all of us.
And now you're traumatized.
Yeah.
Forever.
He's scared of ice planets.
And I watched it. I was fine about it.
All right.
Okay. All right. But he's still salty at me. So those are the episodes that we picked there. So, Amber, do you have an episode, whether it's weird, scary, spooky, freaky, anything of Star Trek that we didn't put in there that you like or want to talk about? Here you go. I'm going to twist it. I'm just going to twist it.
Ooh, on the spot.
She's shaking her head, no, and then he just pushes the mic.
On the spot and completely unprepared for that question. So thank you for that. No, not off the top of my head.
There you go.
And that's okay.
I'm a photographer.
He totally blindsided you.
Well, no, you had plenty of prep time because I was looking at you the whole time leading up to it. Like, gotta think of something quick. It's like, oh my God, Star Trek, what's that?
He was betazoiding thoughts into your head.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what? You should give honorable mention. What was it? The Cat's Paw from the original series. Yes. That weird one with the castle and all the. It was like anything that was like one of those paper Halloween decorations you had as a kid.
Yes.
Was in this episode. And then they turned into like giant cats. It was not a great episode, but it was fun.
Well, what about, have you seen Skin of Evil? TNG season 1, the one where Tasha Yar was killed by the oil slick. Oh, yeah. And Riker got pulled into him too. Okay, so there you go.
That I would consider that a horror episode too. That thing was really nasty.
That was freaky.
Yeah.
When it came snuck up on Riker and just suddenly he gets pulled in.
It's all slimy and black.
Like, something's got me.
I know this.
Oh my God.
I know this might sound very mean, but I kind of laughed when Tasha flew in the air and when Riker's just like, Data.
I laugh a lot when I watch Star Trek. That's one of the reasons I love it.
This boy has no soul.
What are we going to do with you?
Oh man. He was... Yeah, that was. And he gets pulled in this thing, and then his face like comes back up in the oil, and then
it reminded me. Do you remember the raft from Creepshow 2, where the
Stephen King short story?
The kids are partying on this raft out in the middle of this lake, and the black oil slick comes up.
No, I've seen the first Creepshow. I never saw the second one.
The second one, it's very similar to that episode. If you ever get a chance to check it out, it's the same idea. It's this oil sludge monster that will dissolve your body and eat you, basically.
Tasty,
fun. And then I think another one that might be a horror one is on Voyager, the one with Brad Dourif.
Yeah, we just watched it. So it's season 2. I don't remember what episode. Where Brad Dourif, who is a very iconic horror actor. He was the voice of Chucky. And great episode of the X-Files first season. It's fine.
Yeah. Exorcist 3.
Exorcist 3. But he plays I guess he was former Maquis, who was then absorbed onto the ship in the crew, and he's basically a psychopath, and he's a
betazoid.
He's a betazoid.
With no empathy.
And Tuvok mind melds with him, and then Tuvok starts to lose his control. It was a really very good psychological horror thriller.
Yeah, it was a good episode.
It was. I wish we would have got some more of him, because Brad Dourif is a
great voice.
Yeah, great voice, and he's been in a lot here. I'm looking at he was in Dune.
Yep.
This episode of Murder, She Wrote we just watched.
Oh, really?
Oh, for real.
A Halloween episode, actually. Yeah, Brad Dourif is one of those guys. He plays this same scenario out a lot. I have a little frog in my throat.
Oh my.
He played this whole almost a Hannibal Lecter type of character in The Exorcist 3, and then he did it again on The X-Files, and then he did it again on Voyager. I feel like he's done it other times.
Okay?
But he's just really good at it. Like, he's got it dialed in, that whole psychopath that maybe he knows something you don't know thing.
Right.
You know, it's so fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So there you have it. There's our episodes for the Halloween season.
Are you scared?
Yeah. Ooh, putting Amber on the spot. That was a lot of fun. And
she enjoyed it. I could tell. She's going to murder you later. It's fine.
Yes. Well, that goes along with the whole...
With the theme. It's
the theme. So if I turn up missing, that's part of it.
Yeah. We'll remember to tell Dateline. She said you'll never see it coming.
You're never going to see it coming.
Oh. Yeah, it's... All right, I'm not going to turn my back on you now. Yeah, because that's... I won't know what's coming. Just make it quick.
It's getting scary.
Yeah, don't make him suffer. It's fine.
Right.
All right, I loved it.
Watch some scary shows, scary movies.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for letting us come into your studio here. This is great. We've got to do this again.
Yeah.
Let's not just see each other once a year.
Yeah. At a festival for 10 minutes while we chug a beer together.
Right. Yeah.
Like, how are you? Oh, good. How's the family? It's good. It's all right. We'll see you later, guys.
Yeah. Do a little, joint podcast stuff, which is great. And for our listeners of Beyond Trek podcast, if you like scary, spooky, weird shows, movies, please listen to Night of the Living podcast. You guys have been doing this, I think, 13 years.
Yes.
You said, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I had to look at Amy because I'm not very good at measuring time.
Yeah.
We started in 2006. And still doing it. It's not a family show. I just warn anybody that's going to tune in. If you have kids in the room, I would not recommend listening with anyone because you never know what we're going to talk about.
Right. Yeah.
We get all over.
Just like the Deep Space Nine.
Right.
You're not allowed to listen.
We're getting Quark's Jeffries too on a weekly basis.
He went up the ventilation shaft.
So much fun.
Yeah. So 13 years you've been doing this. Following you guys on Facebook. It's really very interesting and a lot we can learn here. I mean, you should see the setup here. Like it's
evolved.
This is nice.
Yeah.
It's almost got me talked into doing a little bit less of the painstaking, minute.
Yeah, you don't have to sweat the small stuff.
It's and that's why I wanted to.
It's fun and relax and it's easy and whatevs.
Klingons do not have fun.
That sounded pretty damn good.
That was good.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my! I thought Worf was here.
Right, yeah. Well, we've got a guy that does Worf impersonations.
You don't need him. No, I'm kidding.
Okay,
You're fired.
You hear that? You guys competition now.
Oh my God, that was spot
awesome.
on. That was shockingly good.
Yeah.
I didn't know I had it in me.
Oh.
It's I like this format of just kind of.
It's fun. I like to think of it as like a dinner table situation.
Oh yes.
Where I'm like, sometimes you're going to hear silverware moving around. That's okay.
And a dog barking.
Right.
Because it started in our dining room.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Yeah, but we'd have to set it up every week, and that was a huge pain.
That would be tedious.
Yeah. So this is
you
a permanent
guys
space.
Are all able to get together and do this, which is that kind of for us. I mean,
a lot of coordinating.
Yeah, tricky.
Everyone's in their different places. So it's just.
Do you guys have video
worth it.
with each other at all, or
No.
you just okay? Because
Yeah,
I
just
wonder.
audio.
I was thinking about that, like what that's like to. Because every once in a while we'll have somebody on the phone, but whenever possible, I try to get their face somewhere, just so we can kind of take cues off of each other. But
That makes it a lot easier.
yeah.
I read an article recently, and it was it made me mad because it was about like all the celebrities that are podcasting and what a revolution, right? No, we are people that are just regular people with something that we feel like we want to talk about, and we are just doing this thing and having fun, and people, it resonates enough that they listen to you every week or whenever you put a show out. And my God, that's the revolution.
Right. Yeah. It is weird to see like.
I'm just a lady from Cincinnati.
Right.
And now big businesses and entertainment companies have caught on, and
Oh, real quick, let's
And
do
it
a
does
quick
change the way it
commercial.
looks.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
but it is just interesting the difference, and to watch the whole thing evolve and to have been there like when it started. Podcasting is, and I've always been an advocate for. I think everyone should have a podcast.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, some people say you should
Everybody
journal.
does.
Yeah.
Like whenever people over the years, whenever somebody would reach out to me, then they'd be like, "Hey, how can you help me start a podcast? What do I got to do?" I'm just like, if you're listening to this, I think everybody, you're going to find a community of people that have similar interests to you.
You will? Yeah.
And it's kind of like, in a way, it's almost like, correspondence, like where people used to write letters back and forth to each other. Like we have other podcasts that cover similar stuff to us, and how we keep in touch with each other is listening to each other's shows. And then it's kind of like it's get to see old friends who may not be close by or whatever.
Right.
It's just, I think it's great.
Yeah, or make new ones.
Well, and I like that part of it is that you're talking to and working with other podcasts, because I think that should be what you do.
Yeah.
We had a crossover episode with Fantastic Geek, and those two guys, Peter and Matt, they do a lot of the Marvel shows, Star Trek. They do all kinds of stuff, and we did something with them, and that was a lot of fun. And that's what I want to do more of is having these other podcasts and saying, hey, what do you think about doing a thing, blending, meshing our thing with yours.
Yeah, I love that.
It's fun.
Yeah, and then that's
As I'm a voracious podcast listener, and I love stuff like that.
well, anyone can do it, and I
Yeah.
think that's what makes it tricky is to not get yourself tied into the numbers.
No.
and the
Right,
number of
you can't care
listeners.
about that.
That's hard for someone that's got I think partial OCD. Me. I do it for fun. I love it. Love
Yeah.
talking about Star Trek and all that is great. We have been able to express so much artistic talent just with the format, and that was and I want to ask you guys when I tell you this how you decide on your format. But for us, we were kind of sitting around and we're talking about doing a podcast. And I had done a podcast prior that went from last November up into about early summer, and we decided to rename, rebrand, change the focus, and that came up as well. Anyone can do it with a podcast, so there's a lot out there. And when it came to Star Trek, that was pretty fat in the tail. It's like everyone's doing a Star Trek podcast, and what would we do to try to stand out, or at least maybe have a chance at not just being, another one of 200,
Right, yeah.
whatever. So I said, all right, well, let's just not have a format. Let's literally just not have a format. And the episode from Seinfeld was playing.
yeah, show
was
about
playing in my
nothing.
head. Yeah,
Yeah.
show about nothing. and that's our very first episode where we talk about what we're doing. It's a podcast about nothing.
Yeah.
Is what the name of that our first episode is. And literally I said, we can do some episode reviews. We can just cover and talk about the conventions, people that cosplay. We can do radio skits or do something like I did with the Federation News Network. It's what would the nightly news in the 24th century be like? I had a thing I did. We call it Notes with Nacho, and because when we're driving around, just wherever. Just all over the spectrum on Star Trek, and then there's things he zings me on sometimes. Well, I said, you know what? Yeah, let's do a podcast episode like that. We're just going to sit, just record it, and just start talking about Star Trek. And that was that thing. And we've got some, characters and stuff. So think of it as like Saturday Night Live for Star Trek. And to me, I thought that's going to be the best way to try to do something unique because it's very competitive out there. It's challenging. But
I was just going to say, like, I think with us, we went through a phase of, in the beginning, there was only us and like one other horror podcast when we started, I think, at the time. Mm-hmm. And so the audience was easy to get because we were filling a demand that was there. Whereas now there are thousands of horror podcasts doing, and a lot of them literally cribbed exactly what we did from us and changed the names of our 2 segments to their own version of that, which is...
Are you serious?
Which is fine. I think that's super flattering. But like we do a segment straight to video, Russian roulette, where we pick something that's a movie that was not theatrically released. And it used to be kind of a gag because those used to be bad movies. Right. So we would pick somebody randomly. You have to watch this movie this week. Okay. And then we would watch something we called The Main Attraction, which was a mainstream or a successful movie, something like a classic. And it evolved from there. But we actually went the opposite direction where like we used to prepare. We were very structured.
And now it's like, no, I don't have time for that. But we have the 2 segments. I think at the end of the day, it's your personality and what you bring to the table, not the gimmick that you bring to the show. It's who are you? The people I listen to and continue to listen to, and I've listened to podcasts since 2005, and I still listen, like Keith and the Girl, because of the personalities. They don't even have a format because of the personalities and what I get from it. So there might be 3 million Star Trek podcasts, but why yours is successful is because you guys, it's the personalities and the care of what you bring to the table and to the listener.
I do feel like you have to offer some consistency though, as well. Too. That's the flip side of it.
That's hard.
Yeah, like you can go.
Like, how can I be consistent when it's not? It's about nothing,
Right? Like,
whatever. Like, we even have different people that are involved.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, the thing that makes yours consistent is your subject matter.
Yeah.
It's about Star Trek.
Star Trek is the thing that brought everyone together. So you're like, that has built-in consistency.
Yes.
But I think that's something a lot of people who are starting out, you have to have something at your core, like it's corny to call it like a mission statement, but you think of it the same way like a corporation would.
He totally wrote a mission statement.
I did.
It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. No, it's not.
I love him, but Jesus.
It's mostly, but our mission statement is mostly about, we got to keep our community at the center of what we do.
Yes.
For us, it's about a very small, which used to be a huge audience that shrank over the years. So we weren't very good at, I don't know that we were great at retaining, because as there were more horror podcasts to choose from, you lose some people. Mm-hmm. But like, I feel like we're probably a moderately popular, probably in the middle of what your typical popular podcast is. We're somewhere.
I like
in the
doing it, so I don't care.
Yeah, we do it more for us, and like, but remembering who is listening, what they're into, and keeping them engaged in what you're producing. But the way your format is, it sounds like, I like that you have this open contributor pool. So you're always going to have engaged people working on your show.
Right.
Because you let them come and go as they please to work on it, which I think is key. You don't hold anybody too responsible like you do with a job. I think that's the important thing too, is not to let it turn into work.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And it's not just 2 dudes doing an episode review, that's like what every Star Trek podcast is. Wanted it to be kind of an ensemble thing where we may even have different people, and we have had different people on the podcast for different discussions. It's just we have our group of 10 folks. Now you'll hear a couple voices pretty much on probably everything. Like mine would be one, but you've got all these moving parts, and you're right. Someone can jump in and it's like, hey, I recorded this thing that's like. One of our guys, Thriven, he sent me this audio recording he did, and it was basically he's reading a part of like an engineer who's trying to do some repairs, do something, but in the background it sounds like he's in an engine room. So he created this thing, did his audio, put the sound effects to it, and it's real short, but it's like, wow, and it's just all these little bits of creativity, and
that's fun. It's nice to have that outlet.
So cool.
Yeah. So these folks, and I asked them, if you want to be part of this, great, you can. Be a contributor. One of the other guys that was one of our guests He's the cryptic community manager. His name's Mike, and for the game Star Trek Online. So we had him on. Yeah. So we've done a couple things with him also, and he's still in the Discord. Like I don't boot people. It's like welcome to stage, just kind of see behind the scenes sort of thing. And so the other day he's like, hey, I want to throw my hat in the ring there if you want to, need something for. And it's like, okay, wow, that's
really neat.
great.
So
So now you've got that piece of it where, hey, can I do something? Is there something for me?
Yeah,
love it.
So
I have a Trek nerd coworker, and I mentioned that we were going to be doing this, and he's like, I've listened to that.
hey, don't you love hearing that?
Yes, that is awesome. I love that. Yeah, that's
See, people listen. You never think when you start a podcast that anyone's going to listen to it.
Well, I
Just
like
your
that.
mom.
I've had right. I have two listeners, my mom, my wife. But no, that's great when it's they're at
Speaking of the devil.
right. Well, no, this is mother-in-law. Yeah, so I better take this.
All right. Well, we got to wrap anyway, I think. So we got to get to the drive-in.
Yes. Well, you guys have fun at the drive-in. Thank you for this.
Thank you for letting me talk about Star
so much
Trek.
fun.
Yes.
All right.
We are Beyond Trek Podcast. Lower your inhibitions and surrender your years. We will add inspirational and hilarious Trek content to your day. Your attention will adapt to subscribe to us. Resistance is futile.